All right, let's talk about the debut that broke the internet, and not entirely in a good way. We need to rewind to February 2022. The hype was unreal. This was Jape Entertainment, the house that built twice an ITZY. The next girl group was supposed to be a crown jewel, a surefire hit from day one. The teasers promised talent, the pre-debut buzz was massive, and then OO dropped. And the K-pop world collectively went, "What did I just watch?" This wasn't just a mixed reaction, it was a digital firestorm. The song, with its jarring genre switches from sweet ballad to aggressive trap to something resembling a naval battle soundtrack, was branded noise music at best and unlistenable at worst. JP called it NMIXX pop, their new revolutionary sound. The public called it chaotic. The comment sections and forums like Pan and Nate became war zones. Fans of senior groups accused JYP of sabotaging their new girls with an experimental track. Casual listeners tuned out within the first 30 seconds. The controversy wasn't just about taste, it was about expectation. This was a JYP group. Where were the catchy hooks, the infectious melodies? Instead, they got shug shug shug. The backlash was so intense it transcended typical debut criticism. People weren't just saying they didn't like the song, they were questioning the very foundation of the group. Was this a creative gamble or a career-killing misstep? The noise was so loud it almost completely drowned out what was actually happening on stage. Because here's where the first major split in the narrative happened. While online discourse was drowning in audio criticism, the performance videos told a different story. Anyone who actually watched the stages saw something undeniable. These 7 girls were executing flawlessly. They were singing live, hitting high notes while performing backbreaking choreography, and their synchronization was surgical. Lily's vocals were powerhouse level. Kyujin, the maknae, danced with the intensity of a veteran. But the scandal of the song's sound was all anyone wanted to talk about. It created this bizarre duality. NMIXX was simultaneously hailed as one of the most talented rookie groups ever and written off as a failed experiment. This set the tone for their entire early career, a constant battle between their undeniable skill and the controversial packaging it came in. The industry whispers started. Did JP's creative team misjudge the market? Were these incredibly trained idols being set up to fail by a concept too avant-garde for the mainstream? Just as they were trying to stabilize with their comeback Dice, which faced similar polarized reviews, the floor dropped out from under them. December 9th, 2022. A cold, formal statement from Jipe Entertainment. Member Ginny was leaving the group and terminating her exclusive contract. No reason given. No warning. One day she was there, a central part of the NMIXX pop identity, a standout performer with a fierce stage presence, and the next, she was gone. In K-pop, where groups are marketed as families and units are presented as unbreakable, a sudden departure like this isn't just a lineup change, it's a scandal shrouded in mystery. The rumor mill exploded with a force that made the OO debates look tame. Speculation ran rampant. Did she have a health issue? A family problem? Was there a conflict within the group or with the company? The most persistent and damaging rumors, spread across social media platforms and shady online communities, suggested a breach of contract, possibly involving a romantic relationship. JYP stayed silent, citing personal circumstances, a phrase that only fueled more speculation. Fans of Ginny were devastated and angry, demanding answers that never came. Anti-fans used the void of information to spin increasingly malicious narratives. The remaining members had to face the media and fans just days later, performing as six with rearranged choreography, their faces visibly strained, putting on brave smiles, while the most chaotic chapter of their young careers unfolded publicly. The controversy was no longer about their music. It was about their stability, their future, and the dark, unanswered questions of the K-pop industry. This period exposed the brutal underbelly of the idol system. A member's sudden erasure is handled with clinical efficiency. Lines are redistributed, formations are rewritten, and the show must go on, all while the fandom is left to pick up the pieces of a narrative that no longer makes sense. For NMIXX, the all-rounder label now had a grim shadow. Could they really survive anything, even this? Their 2023 comeback, Young, Dumb, Stupid, faced a new wave of criticism, with many netizens now calling the nursery rhyme sample tone deaf. in the wake of such a serious, somber member departure. It felt like they couldn't win. Every musical step was scrutinized through this new lens of turmoil. The public perception risked shifting from that group with the chaotic songs to that group with the chaotic career. But then, a slow turn. The strategy seemed to shift. Love Me Like This in May 2023 still had NMIXX pop elements, but the edges were smoother. The hooks were catchier. And crucially, the live vocals went viral. Not for being shaky, but for being breathtakingly powerful. People began to separate the song's production from the performers. The covers on their YouTube channel, like their stunning renditions of TWS's Plot Twist and ITZY's Born to Be, started to do what their title tracks sometimes struggled to: showcase pure, unadulterated talent without the baggage of experimental production. The narrative began to pivot, driven by fan-led campaigns and reaction videos from vocal coaches and dancers praising their technique. The scandal of Jinny's departure, while never resolved, slowly moved from the forefront as the six members' palpable resilience and improved chemistry became the story. Their bond, forged in fire, started to feel authentic. The all-rounder tag began to stick in a positive way. However, the industry's memory is long. Every achievement, like their first music show win, was paired with online comments reminding everyone of the chaotic debut and the mysterious departure. Their success became a form of quiet rebellion. 2024's Dash and Break the Wall were commercial and critical successes, proving they could refine their sound without losing their identity. But the old controversies remain just a click away, a permanent part of their digital footprint. The ultimate analysis of NMIXX's controversial journey reveals an uncomfortable truth about K-pop. Exceptional talent is not enough. It can be undermined overnight by a controversial creative decision or a behind-the-scenes scandal. Their story is one of weathering a perfect storm of artistic risk and personal upheaval, and emerging not unscathed but undeniably stronger. They didn't just face criticism, they faced a fundamental questioning of their raison d'être. And in doing so, they may have redefined what it means to be an all-rounder in this industry. It's not just about skill, but about survival.